meeting, West Warwick Pension Board, to order on August 20th, 2018 at 7:35. Next agenda is prayer. Dear Lord, guide this board with your wisdom in its decisions and interpretations of the matters presented to this board at this meeting, and to look over our service people serving our country worldwide. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, need a motion to close the executive session?
Make a motion to close the executive session in accordance with Rhode Island General Law 42-46-4 and 42-46-5A2, and to seal the minutes
And the votes.
and the vote.
And we have to do each vote?
Yeah,
Well, first I have to
Yep.
close
Okay.
the section.
First vote was for Patrick Kelly?
First this motion.
Oh, second?
Yep.
All right.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to seal the minutes and the votes on the executive session. We need to do all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay. Vote for
Now you need another motion.
another motion?
Motion. Motion to confirm the vote taken in executive session in regards to applying section 9.03 and determining a member's normal retirement date and applying that to 9.02 and having board council form an opinion on that matter.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And we need a motion for Ed Marr.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion, or reconfirm the vote to have our legal team take a look at the workman's comp offset to the disability retirement benefit in the case of Ed Marr's disability retirement benefit, and also to review the workman's comp lawyer's legal fees provided to us, and report back to the board at the next session.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to have a legal check into the workman's comp decision and settlement in reference to Ed Maher, and give a report back to the board at the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now they're closed officially?
You're good.
Okay. Make sure we don't do anything. Okay, I'm going to, we're gonna skip the alphabet here a little bit. If there's no objection to go to G for Rockland and Clearbrook.
Motion to move to item, would you say G?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
motion to move to
Okay.
item K.
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't look right. Okay, yes.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded to go to item K first. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Gentlemen,
Evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good to see everyone. And I'd like to introduce myself and John to the newer committee members that we haven't had the pleasure to meet. I'm Tim Ing. I'm the Chief Investment Officer of Clearbrook Global Advisors, and John Cheshire is the consultant. So good to meet all the new members as well. So just briefly in regards to what's happening in the world. It is an interesting world we live in. It's a world now that we live in tweets as opposed to what's going on in the overall markets that's driving everything. But the big change in the markets generally has been when we came into the year, everyone was thinking along the lines that you would have pretty much synchronized growth. The US, Asia, Europe, all pretty much growing at the same rate. Lo and behold, you fast forward now to August 20th, what has effectively happened is that the US has very much moved far ahead of where we are in Asia and where we are in Europe. And why the real big differences? One has been the tax change. The tax law change last year changed a lot, particularly for corporations and individuals in regards to lowering the underlying tax rates, number one. Two is that's helped a number of corporations here in the United States essentially go forward with a lot of the spending plans in terms of capital expenditures, buying new plants, hiring more and more people, et cetera, to accelerate the growth here in the United States. So what you're seeing effectively is economic growth in the United States over 4%. That's effectively what we had, 4.1% in the last quarter. It's projected that we're going to move to about a 3% level for the remainder of the year at this point. So that's what's propelling effectively the underlying equity markets in particular. If you look at just the closing of the quarter in the S&P 500 right now, the S&P 500 with the majority of the companies that have already reported, 25% growth rate in terms of earnings on a year-over-year basis, which by any measure is a very, very good overall comparison in terms of earnings. Quite spectacular, actually. But what was more important is the revenues for many of these companies overall grew at 9%. And that's what everyone's been waiting for. Because what have corporations done over the past several years to improve their earnings? Stock buybacks, cutting expenses, okay? Everyone was waiting for the sales number to start going up. We have finally started to see that this year, and it's quarter by quarter we've seen these improvements, and that's what's helping the stock market and the equity market here in the U.S. go up quite dramatically. How does that affect us, West Warwick, and the plan, what we've done? If you looked at the portfolio 1 year ago, okay, you would see that we had, especially in the equity side, on the stock side, we had far more allocation, more of an even allocation between the U.S. and overseas. If you look at it today, it's pretty much now about 2/3 to the U.S. and effectively 1/3 to overseas. So if we turn to page 2 in the underlying portfolio, you see effectively, and I hate to say this, with age you have to use glasses now. Terrible. The kids, Dad, you're getting old. You have to just embrace it. It is what it is. So anyway, so the fund today is at $35,699,659 as of the valuation date as of the end of July. You can see on a year-to-date basis on the top line, we're up 1.7%. We had a very nice return over the past three months of 1.9% overall. We look at your returns on a daily basis. We're probably up about another 0.3%, so we're just about tad over 2% now for the year, which is really terrific. So that's done very, very well. And a lot of the returns that you're seeing in the underlying portfolio, which John will get into, effectively has come from the stock side. Stocks are up on the domestic equity side 5.6% on a year-to-date basis. The disappointment, as we had mentioned, is coming from the international side. Stocks in Europe and Asia have done far worse. So on the international line, you can see it's minus 2%. On the bond side, on page 3.
Does everybody see those numbers?
Yes.
Just want to make sure. Okay.
And then on the bond side on page 3.
Where was the minus on the Asian you said?
Oh, sorry.
International equity on the year-to-date number, it's a gray bar.
Yeah.
So you can see it right in the middle.
Oh, I see it, okay.
Yeah, it says minus
Yeah, I got it.
2%.
Okay, no, I'll say, thank you.
Okay. And then on page 3, I'm sorry, we're going flip back and forth. On page 3, on the fixed income bond side, it's minus 0.7%, and we'll have an explanation of that. The great additive part of the portfolio this year, which we've been waiting now for several years, has been the alternative side. We had, a number of years ago, made a proposal in that alternatives would provide a positive return when bonds would go down in price. And that's the reason why we had made that underlying recommendation. As interest rates go up, as we know, bond prices come down. So the alternative side, as you can see on the line, is up 2.2% versus essentially the fixed income being negative. And we believe that this trend is going to continue now for the next several years as the Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates at this point.
And that kind of explains why the bonds are sinking, as the Fed has increased the rates and they're going to continue.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave.
So
Absolutely.
we've stayed to the shorter, you'll hear the curve on the news, we've stayed to the shorter end of the curve. It's basically the shorter term fixed income securities to sort of protect that capital a little bit more. Yeah, we have the Vanguard index fund, which is intermediate. That's sort of the longest position that we have. Everything else is, Diamond Hill's really short. Double Line is around 4 years. Voya is shorter than that, it's around 2. So trying to find areas where we can get a higher coupon, but not take a lot of risk. And that's the bigger weights in Voya and Diamond Hill.
Do you expect the bonds, that market to continue to go the direction it's going? I mean, are we going to leave that 17% of the portfolio there, or are we going to kind of move that?
So what are we doing, David? And that's a great question. What we did over a year ago for that portion of the portfolio, and we can concentrate on that, is we had moved a good amount of money into, as John mentioned, 2 funds. One was the Diamond Hill Short Duration, and the other was the Voya, and also the Double Line. Traditional bonds will go down in value as interest rates, as we mentioned, go up. What we had seen was there was opportunity in the market, particularly from mortgage securities, okay? Paid a higher interest rate, has less sensitivity to interest rates going up. They don't go down as much. Okay? So what we can see from the Diamond Hill position, up 1.7% on page 3, and effectively the Voya Securities is also up 1.7%. And heck, traditional bonds are down, they're up. That's bonus for us, and that's terrific. And Dave, and to answer your question, we're going to continue to move into instruments like that, that if we can get a plus sign on an asset class that should be providing a negative, we're going to continue to do that without question. Without
Would that
question.
be a large shift over or small?
No, small shift, about 3 or 4%, because we have only about 2.5% or so in terms of Double Line. That's another manager we think we may be replacing in the immediate future. But if you look at the allocation on top of page 3, we have 17.7% to bonds, totally, in reality. In a normal allocation, when interest rates were much higher, you'd have more 30%, 35% to bonds. But because of the risk, we have the alternatives instead of essentially the bonds. But as interest rates go up, that may change over time.
With interest rates are going up. Now, you mentioned about this shifting over to, you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned about the mortgage funds
Yes.
paying a higher rate.
Yes.
What other things you would be getting into to increase the income, to reduce the risk?
So, and it's a great question. One idea we have, and John and I were going to leave it to the end, but as you asked the question, in the market today, what you have is within money market funds, effectively instruments. One is called a repurchase agreement. And really, in simple terms, typically banks, typically the Federal Reserve, they have reserves that they have to keep on their balance sheet on a continual basis. And actually, it's kind of an interesting part of the market. It's actually a $3 trillion market per day. This is how large this crazy thing is. And most people have never heard of these crazy things. It's called a repurchase agreement, and it's very simple. A big bank, let's say the bank here, Commerce Bank or one of the banks here, says, I need to have money on my balance sheet because the Fed says I have to have money on my balance sheet. Okay. Sometimes they come up short. And that's just the reality of how the banking system works. They go to folks like us or other institutions and say, I need to borrow money on an overnight basis. So what they do is they effectuate what they call is a repurchase agreement, which basically is a contract between us and the borrower, such as a bank, that says, we're going to pay you interest for the next day, 7 days, or what have you, in order for us to have these reserves. And we are contracted to buy back that loan from you in 1 day or 7 days. For that privilege of us giving them money, we're going to charge them interest. Okay?
So you're charging the banks interest.
Yeah, we're charging the bank's interest, which is it's kind of cool. You know, in reality, wow, we're charging them interest.
Yeah.
Okay? So the bank will actually give us treasury bills, AAA rated treasury bills, and mortgages to make sure they're going to pay this back. And actually, for every dollar we lend them, they give us 1.02% or 2% excess in these securities to secure that loan. So
Where
it's
did
kind of
that-
cool.
How did they come up with that figure?
It's based on the short-term rates. So the Fed every day publishes in the paper what they call the Fed funds rate,
Okay.
which is what everyone talks about. Whenever the Fed raises interest rates, that's exactly what they're raising. They're raising the Fed fund rate, which is what they're going to do in September. These securities absolutely track that rate. So as interest rates go up, it's going to go up with it.
Okay.
Effectively.
And you can see the repo rate in the paper too,
Yeah.
along with the Fed funds rate.
Yeah. So effectively, why do we think this is interesting, particularly versus, let's say, a double line, which has been okay? Because we know for sure over the next 1 year, whatever it might be, that it's going to give you a plus sign. Because all it is you're collecting interest, effectively.
Right.
So if we could get 2%, 2.5% from a part of the portfolio where normal bonds are going down as interest rates go up, that's a plus.
Right.
That's a major plus. So we created for our clients just actually this summer an exchange traded fund that's tied to these instruments. It's OPER is the symbol, trades on the New York Stock Exchange. It was
Repo
approved.
backwards.
Yeah, it's repo backwards. Repurchase agreement. We didn't come up with the name. We weren't that clever, you know. But effectively, it's listed in the paper, actually. You can look up the symbol. You can actually see it. It's liquid. It's traded on the exchange. And effectively, what we would do is buy this and just hold it. And the interest rates continue to move as other interest rates move. So we wanted to present it to the committee for the fact that, one, what's important to know is that we manage this product, okay? So as you are a client, typically a non-client of the firm would pay 0.3% per year as an overall fee, and you already pay us a fee effectively for managing your money. We would waive effectively the fee on this so that you're not double paying effectively. So you would see a credit effectively for that. But net to you today would be, this is yielding about 1.9% today.
How often do banks do this, and do they spread this opportunity to different companies, or do they
Oh,
stick
yeah.
with one company?
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
no,
a
no, no.
big player.
Many. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of players in this. So
Okay.
the biggest player is Bank of New York, okay? And the Federal Reserve, and all of the other major banks and investment managers. They're the biggest players in this on a continual basis. And I mentioned before, I looked up the stat, and actually it was staggering to me. There's $3 trillion of these transactions that happen every day across major banks and institutions.
So the bulk of them are probably just a one-day, 24-hour deal?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
anywhere from the typical is 1 day to 7 days. It can go as far as 1 year. But because of the liquidity, we want to make sure that we don't want to go out that far. We're going to keep it 1 day to 7 day maximum,
Okay.
so that it's always going to be liquid. If you needed money, and we're not touching the money market fund. The
Right.
money market fund that we have today, we're going to keep, because you need liquidity. We know that you have distributions on a day-to-day basis that you're going to make, okay? This is going to replace double line in the portfolio for 2.7% of the underlying portfolio. Because double line is now just slightly positive for the year. We think the opportunities from that fund no longer exist going forward. So if we could put a plus sign where double line is, then pretty much the majority of the portfolio in bonds is going to give you a positive return, where we shouldn't be able to do that.
So the duration in the portfolio now is about 4.9. Making this switch brings the duration down to 4, roughly 4, maybe 4.1, somewhere in that range, depending on when it's done. But it makes the portfolio, the fixed income portion, shorter term, which is where we want to stay.
Yeah.
The shorter.
Mr. Hayden, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
First of all, I noticed from January until July 31st, the portfolio has performed 1.7.
Yep.
So now we're into our next 5 months, from August until December 31st. What do you expect to achieve in those 5 months?
If we could get you to a 5, I'd be very happy.
To a 5? So that what you're saying is you're looking to achieve a 5%
Yes.
return. And then I noticed over here, which is the reason it's part of your portfolio, it's part of your plan. I noticed in domestic equity, you added 6 new additions
Yep.
between February and April,
Yep.
okay? And a couple of them did quite well with the domestic.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Especially that 11%.
The Wasatch guys.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay? And I noticed in the international equity, you added 6 more also.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, the international is not doing as well as we expected, but that's going to change over the next 5 months.
Yeah. And what we did to be upfront is a lot of the ETFs that you see here
Yes.
underperformed. The MSCI ETFs underperformed. Why? Because the underlying weighting in their portfolio was very much skewed to Asia, particularly a lot of the Chinese stocks and a lot of the Chinese financial stocks,
Right.
which underperform. Okay? This is a market where actually a smaller portfolio is going to do better than a larger portfolio. So to your point, we just added last week a money manager named Sands, multi-billion-dollar manager
Mhm.
out in Denver.
No, they're in Arlington, Virginia.
Sorry. What they do is they run a portfolio of typically 30 to 50 stocks in the international market. Market leaders, dominant position, stable growth, high cash flow. Those are the types of managers that you want in the portfolio today, because they're going to try and pick the winners.
Exactly.
They're going to pick the winners at this point. And just in the last week, it's actually outperformed the former positions by 1% in 1 week. And that's a lot. And that's a lot.
We've always had a mix of active and passive, but I think since we started this relationship, maybe we had some, maybe a tiny bit more passive. And we're getting into an area of the time in the market where you really do need more active managers, and you're starting to see that in the portfolio. Not just, they might not be the blunt instrument of just investing in the S&P 500. They might be more targeted, like the bank ETF that we have. But we're trying to find opportunities as the market gets, the valuations go up, and that are more selective. Maybe with investment managers, they may be smaller positions in certain types of ETFs, like we're looking at cybersecurity and clean energy and those types of things that may produce return going forward, but not just the broad market indices. So you might see that going forward, introductions in that.
Very good. Thank you.
So I think as a recommendation, what we would like the committee to think about, and perhaps put to a vote, is we wanted to make sure that you were all comfortable with this idea of essentially the repo investment that we've created for investment. It is a pickup in return. Your money market fund today, for example, is yielding 1.6%, and this is yielding 1.9. It'll go higher. It is higher in terms of overall credit. All the underlying securities in this AAA rated, and effectively it will go up as interest rates go up, as opposed to the other way around at this point. But because we have, the best term we can put is we wanted to make sure we did not have a conflict in which you're not comfortable with, because we are managing this portfolio on behalf of West Warwick and our other clients, and we wanted to make sure that you were comfortable with that before we moved ahead and make that
Well,
change.
based on your opinion and your calculations and your, what you're trying to prove, trying to do, we should accept it. Because then again, you're working for us.
Right,
Okay, the more money the account makes, the more money you guys make.
right,
Because your fees get higher as it makes more money, so
Right.
as it's worth more money.
Right.
Your wealth management, really.
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So,
And
so
fiduciary.
our opinion,
Yes.
Right.
so, again, I have a little more knowledge of this here than the rest of the board, okay? That's why I ask certain questions and all that. But my opinion, okay, based on my years of doing this here kind of work, okay, investing and all that, I respect your opinion, and I feel comfortable with your opinion, and I think with the board, we should vote to get that opinion, going,
Okay, thank you,
okay? That's why you're here.
thank you.
My question is, if I understood you correctly, you said it's only gonna be under the equity section, a percentage of that's what's gonna be used in this repo?
No, double line, which is in the fixed income portion.
And the fixed income
We're
portion.
switching something that's investing in longer term bonds with something that's in shorter term. Page 4,
3,
oh, 3, sorry.
Under the fixed income?
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So it's
To replace the double
2.4,
line?
yeah, it's 2.4% of the portfolio, and it's about $868,000.
Right,
in
and
total.
that's what you wanna use that for the
Yes.
repo instead?
Yes.
And you're saying that should give us 1.7 more than that, or roughly?
Yeah, so you can see double line essentially is just about break even for the year.
Yeah,
You know.
okay.
Yeah, so for the rest of the year, on an annualized basis, you're gonna make 1.9%,
Okay,
pretty much, for the rest of the year.
As rates go up,
Yeah, and then we have a pretty good confidence that the Fed is gonna raise rates in
Absolutely,
September.
Of course.
That's a given.
They've already said it.
Yeah, they've already said, absolutely.
anyone else have any other questions?
I just wanted to ask, why not one of the alternatives? I mean, this seems like it's more like what you said, when our fixed income's gonna go down, this is a fund that's gonna go up,
Yeah.
which is kind of what all our alternatives are doing. And it looks like Blackstone alternative hasn't performed as well as the others. And I'm wondering why not
No,
move some of that money.
you bring up a great point, and we've talked about this for the past several weeks now. I think the plan of attack there, Dave, is that what we're going to do is, the other funds, and I can go through them quickly, Graham lost money last month,
Right.
but as of August, they're up 2.33%.
Graham is,
Yeah, in August. So they're up close to 7 for the year, which is not too bad. Davidson Kempner is up 30 basis points this month, so they're up 2.6 for the year. And effectively, Renaissance is up another 90 basis points, they're up 6.5. So that part of the portfolio
which is what you had said, and I'm glad that
yeah,
we're seeing that.
now we're seeing it,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So what we'll probably do with the Blackstone is we'll probably redeem from them and just split it across the other 3 guys. Because our expectation here is that we should make 5, 6, 7% from this part of the portfolio. The fixed income side, as we mentioned, heck, if we could get +1 or 2, we'll take it. Because there's really, in that portfolio, we don't really want market risk.
Exactly.
We just want to clip coupons as much as we can. If we can eke out 2%, we're more than happy to do that. So
Right.
hopefully
Just
that answers
speaking
your question.
on my behalf, you know how I feel, that's my big worry is market risk, because we can't afford it in this
Yeah.
way. If we have a negative 20% year, we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Completely done. So we need to
Yeah,
remain conservative, but also try to squeak out, that 7.5% every year, as close to it as we can get anyway.
yeah.
So you're saying you're gonna take on that Blackstone, you're gonna take that 2.6 and spread that out over the others?
And we may take it, when you need cash, we may pare that down a little bit, or use that as a source of cash, which you're, what, 800 a month now, I think,
Right, yeah, this last one was
830.
8, something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be a source of cash, same with the equities. We have the investment policy limitations too that we have to adhere to and we have to keep an eye on. So, we have to stay in those bounds, so we'll take the cash to keep it within line of that.
All right,
And I just add to that, and maybe this is whatever the procedure is, but I think haven't reviewed the investment policy.
We have not.
It's about time that we do that. We have some new members on the committee, so it might be healthy for the next meeting, next time we're here, talk about that, or we can talk about it interim, between meetings, make sure that you're still comfortable with those guidelines, and then if we need to adjust them at the next meeting.
You had done that before I was on the board, but Dave was on, and you had given some numbers, and then he showed me where, was it 4.7, I think is what the goal was, or it was single digits versus double digits, and that you actually met what you originally said then, so, yeah, it's probably good to do it again.
And there's ranges too.
Right, you gotta stay within a
Yes,
certain percentage
we
of
have to
each
say so,
category.
make sure that
Absolutely.
you're comfortable with those.
I mean, do you see, looking at this plan, anything that, red flag you need to change right tomorrow? I mean,
I think the recommendations are exactly those red flag.
we just
you
kind
know.
of need to look at them.
Yeah. But, the biggest concern is you can't manage money, unfortunately, for the unknown. right?
For sure, yeah.
The greatest risk to these portfolios today is the markets are going up because their earnings are great. Okay? The day that changes, the markets are going to go down, and that's the reality. So we'll probably come back and pare back and even sometimes go to cash if it's necessary, just to preserve the underlying capital and take money off the table at this point in time. But I think the greatest risk is the market continues to go up as long as earnings are good. Right? The day that changes, and I made a joke to the guys on the committee, I said, you know what my prediction is? July 1st, 2019. And the reason is because every time the markets come down or recession starts, it's after 10 interest rate moves by the Federal Reserve. If it keeps going, 2 more this year and then 3 next year, you get to 10.
Okay.
Because we know that the Fed has a target in terms of where they want interest rates to go. It's 2.85%. Everyone knows it in the market. They're at 2% now. They're going to get there. Okay? So it depends on how it is going to affect the stock market if rates continue to go up. Okay?
I remember asking you when I first got on, how often you look at this, you said basically daily.
We look at
So
it daily.
Somebody's really starting to, one of these is starting to take a dive,
Yeah.
you
We'll see
follow
it.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, we see it. We have a meeting every day, 8:15 in the morning. We review the portfolios. So we do see it.
anyone else have any other questions?
No, I'm satisfied.
Everybody comfortable with doing this repo with
Oh,
the,
yeah, I need to look into this EFT, so next month.
next month?
ATMs.
ETF,
Do we need to vote on this then, right? To give them permission to do that?
I would say technically, no, you're staying within the parameters as set for the,
We would probably,
you're just gonna be more comfortable with us being in favor.
yeah, and we'll send something over to you guys and you can review it and then review it, sign, whoever's the signer now. But you should
Yeah.
review it.
Whatever information you need, we're more than happy to provide it.
Yep. So if they stay with the perimeters, they can do that if they wanted.
They could, but they're offering that as a
They're-
courtesy.
Right.
They're not going to because of their benefit of having it go in there, so they're gonna send an agreement that's
Yep.
gonna ask you to vote as a board
Right.
whether or not to sign the
Okay.
agreement to allow them
Right.
to do that.
So you're gonna send that to
So
us?
if they
Yes.
can send that over.
Absolutely.
If you send it to Tracy, she can email it to everyone.
Everybody? Yep.
Yeah.
And you can put it on for next meeting to vote.
It's not something we would do without asking you guys.
Right,
Okay.
absolutely. Okay, great. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
you all.
Nice to see you.
Thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would do L because Mr. Kelly's still his attorney.
Say that
I
again?
would do L.
Okay, all right. All right,
I'll make a motion to move on to item L.
Second.
motion made and seconded to move to item L as the next on the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On my notes. All right, start this.
So you can have Mr. Kelly and Mr. Roy. if
Okay.
they're ready.
Mr. Kelly, could you step up to the mic, please?
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Edward Roy on behalf of Mr. Kelly.
We have, with legal in the discussions, state as wrong, stop me. In our discussions, looked at the previous board's legal opinion, for the Ferrera decision, all right, in 2014. We don't, as of this particular board, don't agree with that decision 100%. Legal has advised us that to move forward to approve Mr. Kelly's pension, that we need to give an updated opinion from this board to basically reverse or change.
To provide this board's opinion as to the interpretation, they're interpreting section 9.02 of the plan.
Right.
So they're gonna provide an opinion to you, so you have their interpretation of that section.
That'll govern the decision.
Correct. So
Right.
you have it in writing.
Because their board's saying you can't use 902, is that correct?
903.
Right, so,
902.
902.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah.
Counsel, could you send me that decision at your leisure, please?
Yeah, they actually just voted on it today, so
Okay,
we'll have it for you for next month.
Okay.
I'll present it to the board so they can vote on it next month, and I'll absolutely send you a copy of it.
I appreciate that.
We did provide all the information to the actuary to get the figures rolling,
Okay.
and we did get them at 9 o'clock this morning. So the actuary has all the information, we just need to get them the board's opinion so they can finalize that report. We should have all the information for the meeting next month.
Very good.
the only issue would be, was COLA, correct?
Well, the clerk is gonna look into it,
Yeah.
how it
Which
applies
is
to
the-
9.02, so.
Well, we'll see how that applies to 9.02, based on the languages of that. When does that kick in? Because it's a 7-year, 7-year, 5-year,
Wait,
7-year, wait, so we just wanna see what they, because it's not a normal pension, so we just wanna see how that applies in, so
Okay.
that, in all fairness to him, so he knows exactly
Of
when
course.
that's gonna kick in.
That makes
We'll
sense.
have that answer with, everything else.
Okay.
But we just want to do the legal opinion change to cover this board, because that was an opinion that was made, and we don't agree with it. So we just want to do that, get that straightened out, and then run the rest through. So appreciate your patience. up to
Thank you
this
folks
point
for being
one
open.
board.
I appreciate that.
Do you have any questions?
No. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The date next month will be when?
the 10th.
10th. Okay. Excellent. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I need a motion to move back in order. Motion to move back in order to item E.
I think you did roll call.
You didn't do
D
roll
too.
call, we didn't go to D.
Just skipped it.
Item E is approval of minutes.
We didn't do roll
Oh,
call.
we didn't do roll call yet. I had that we did, I'm sorry. Motion to move back in order to item D.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to go back to the order and start off with item D on the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item D is roll call.
Alan Heru,
Here.
David Lemoyne,
Here.
Edward Fonseca,
Here.
Paul Bertrand, Helena Tay,
Here.
Fred Gill, Ralph Salmonese.
Okay, next on the agenda is E, approval of minutes from July 9th, 2018, and August 6th, 2018.
Motion to approve item E, the minutes from July 9th and August 6th.
Second.
Motion made to approve minutes of July 9th and August 6th of 2018. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F is Board Council Report.
I have agenda items for everything that I need to report on tonight.
So we do as we go through them then? Okay.
Yes.
All right, right, item G, Rockland and Clearbrook, monthly expenses. That's the black one, right, Tracy? Tracy?
Yeah, it's the same thing they just went over, but you can read that bill.
Yeah,
I put a copy of that,
yeah, I got it.
and then just the Rockland.
The, yeah, because I just, earlier I went through the,
Yeah, the black and white one is what they just went through.
just the same thing, right?
Yeah.
He did it in color, the color's easier. All right, let's see. Make sure I get this right, because I always miss something with, that's okay, Russ will correct me and give me the right answers. Let's see. All right, market value, total plan is $35,699,659. For 1 month, we're up 1.8, 3 months, 1.9%, and year-to-date, we're on a plus side of 1.7. You want the alternatives, correct, Russ? All right, well, let's see, we did do income. Total fixed income is $6,314,638. That's up 17.7%, 0.2% for this last month. It's ending July 31st. The alternatives are at $6,654,184. So far, that's 19.2%, and for this month, that's up 1.1%. Total cash is $1,181,558. That's 3.3% of the portfolio. Any discussion? Discussion from the public? Okay, we don't need a motion to pass that, right? Okay. Item H, payment of bills. First one is Poland and Penza, MBF 7372, the amount of $2,645.50 for June of 2018. We do them together or separate?
Either one.
Either way.
They're labeled separate, H1 and H2 if you want to do them that way.
Let's do each one separate, yeah, that's better. Okay. Motion for that one?
That was the general file?
Yes.
I'm sorry, they're not labeled separate. I was looking at Nyhart. I apologize.
The 7372 is the general, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we pay this bill as presented. MDF 7372.
Second motion.
Motion made and seconded to pay MBF 7372 in the amount of $2,645.50. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It says here for, okay, 2645.50. And I see a payment was made on 6/22 of 1229.75. So we still owe you 2,600, or will we subtract the 1229? I may be reading this wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Am
It
I
should
reading
be-
it wrong, or?
No, that's the payment from last month should have paid the balance from the month before.
That's the 1229.
Right.
Right.
So the 1229 was paid for a previous bill.
Yes,
So 2645 is the new bill.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
and on
it
the
is
other one, the 5550 is the month before.
Right, I
That
see
is a
that.
little confusing.
5550 for that one there.
Right, that's the month
Okay.
before.
What
That's
makes
why I
it
tried to
confusing is
circle
that
it.
payment's coming in at the end of the
Right,
month.
okay.
before.
Right.
Right here.
town is really paying
Okay.
right on the date.
All right, I'm satisfied.
Okay. Yes, we did, he just had a question on it. Next one, under Olin and Penzer, is WWPB, that's the plan redraft, the amount of $499.50 for the month of June.
Motion for discussion on that item.
Is there a motion for discussion? Do we need to do a motion to discuss it?
Is that
You
like
gotta
a
move.
substantive?
Sort of, it's about the hours, the time on one of the items. Second item down, 1.3 hours. I hate to like beat up over time, but I just remember that being short.
I can absolutely go and double check it. If you wanna put it on for hold for next month, I can check my time entry.
We say the hours.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
That was, you and I were at that, right?
That was
right.
the one where we said
Right.
we waited.
Wait,
Yeah.
we waited a half hour,
Canceled.
right? We waited a half hour
We
and then-
waited until, 6:30.
Yeah.
And then you know what? I think I may have stayed after and we talked after. That's why the hours.
Alright.
Yeah,
But let me break it down for you.
Yeah, you need to say discussion with
Yep.
board,
yeah, sure was. That would be the
That's why-
point three.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no.
I'm actually satisfied with it, does that sound right?
yeah,
1.3
no,
hours?
that's exactly, it was only you and I,
Right.
and
But
we
it was just
waited a
there, I'm
half
like,
hour.
Why is it not,
That's
it
no,
seemed
we,
longer, but if you stayed that long, then yeah, that makes sense.
we had a discussion that because we didn't have the meeting, but there was a couple things I wanted to get some answers on
Gotcha.
that Tracy and I had talked about during the week. So I asked her that, just where we stand with that, and what are we gonna do, just so we can keep going, otherwise, we're not gonna get answers done.
Gotcha,
you know.
that's fair. Motion to approve in the amount stated.
Second,
Motion made and seconded for WWPB plan redraft in the amount of $449.50 for June. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Nyhart Company Incorporated, turn the page, get the amount. Actuary and Administrative Service of July of 2018, funding evaluation preparation, the interim bill, $26.45.
Funding evaluation preparation.
I was gonna ask that question myself. What do you mean by, what does it mean by interim bill? Dave, you've had more of these.
What's it
Tracy?
It's a funding valuation preparation.
Why would
I'd
that
like
be
to know
$26
myself.
with the method?
I know they do that a lot when it comes to the,
Invoice paper
when it comes to their,
evaluation.
actuarial
Yeah,
report,
that's
they,
what
they
they've been-
separate a lot of them. And it ends up being very, very expensive, but you usually see like $2,000 or $3,000 charges over a span of a few months. That's the only thing I can think of is
They
That's-
have,
that's the end of the year
So
number
they're
that
doing,
they're gonna.
they're doing it as a month-to-month instead of letting it go 6 months or something.
This is one month.
I remember last year, I'm like,
yeah.
this is another $4,000 bill and another $4,000 bill and another. It was like, I thought we already paid for the evaluation report, but unless that's something different. But I'm assuming because it's July 30th or July 1st, they had last year's fiscal numbers and they're prepping for
That's
their.
what they did. They already sent me a bio. I
Yeah.
distributed it to schools, which gave it back to me. It's downstairs in finance. They're all prepping to start the new report.
So this says here, it's an interim bill, so does that mean it's just, what do you mean by interim, just for this month, July?
Yeah, it's just
That's what it
from
looks
July
like,
to
July
July
1st.
31st.
And
I
the
make a
credit was
motion
for
to
the
table
double
this
payment we
something.
talked about, okay.
Right, the downstairs, remember I
That's fine,
showed
no
you.
more.
All right.
I balanced everything with them. They had
Which is
double-
still looking at
Yep.
just under $3,000 for a month then?
It's gonna be expensive.
And
I
it's,
think it's like
It ends
10,000,
up being about
12, it's
12,000
like a lot of money.
Yeah, but when they gave us this here, shouldn't they put down exactly what they did?
We talked about
Because
that.
all I see here It's fund evaluation preparation
Right.
dash Interior bill.
We did ask for that.
And
I
we
don't
didn't
know
get
why.
it?
They're
Why
not
make a
showing.
motion?
They did it on these, but they just,
They're
I
not
think
showing.
that's just their lump sum.
Well, I wanna table this.
They're not showing hours or whatever. They're
Well,
not,
I wanna
they're
know,
just
I wanna
saying-
know a little bit more information.
I don't
why,
blame them.
this is a
When,
really high number.
2,600 seems like a just favorite number around this place.
When we did our agreement to them to do this, was there a pricing chart to go by that they,
In our contract with
and
them.
then when they did the bidding and
Yeah,
that?
there's like actuary is so much per hour, assistant is so much per hour.
All right, so the thing is, we don't know
We don't know,
how many hours it did there.
No
I
idea.
suggest we find out.
which we had asked. That
All
was
right.
that was a few months ago. And then, oh yeah, no problem.
Can we have a motion to table this bill and have Tracy contact them and see if we can get a breakdown on this?
Motion to table the bill from Nyhart until we have it broken down.
Second,
Motion made and seconded to table the actuary and administrative services funding valuation preparation until next month, and have Tracy contact them to get a breakdown on this bill.
And Tracy, can you email me what they sent you? Did they send it to you in an email as a file?
Oh God, it's a huge buyout, and it has, you have to give all the new hires, the terms, you know, in this previous, it's always from the year behind.
Yeah.
So it started 7/1/2017 to June 30th, 2018. You have to get all the contributions. The finance departments have to report all the wages. I report all the new hires, the
Yeah.
terminations.
But what I'm hearing is, you're doing this work, and they're
They get
charging
paid.
us $2,600
Well,
for
we're
a
reporting
file?
it to them in an Excel file.
I understand.
And then they, I don't know, that's how they do their report.
But they haven't done the report. They're-
No, we're gathering the information. Mm.
Okay, yeah,
Like if you wanna see it, I don't know if I can release it, but it's this huge Excel file. Like I send them emails for everything I do. Deaths, return of contributions, and they keep these nice Excel sheets, do you know what I mean? And then each year you have to go through and update, so they need to know about the termination, make sure everything matches. They have to report all the new hires, all the wages
So they
and
get,
things like that.
They get an update from you every month?
No, not every month, just when things happen, I just fire an email.
Okay, so then why is it charged if you, say, so it's
Cause
like
this
this,
is for the report, now they're doing a total update on all the wages, so the finance departments are actually doing a lot of the work. And then I'm just forwarding it to them, and then I go to HR and get all the stuff, I guess that's how they
we're
formulate
still
their
having,
report.
trouble understanding why they charged us $2,600 this month.
That
What they
I don't
actually
know.
did for that work, what was their output for $2,600?
Well,
They
actually-
sending me the file.
actually,
I
actually,
don't
it's,
know. Click.
the actual charge is actually $29.80.
Yeah,
There
we
was
had a
a,
we had a
there was
credit.
there was a double
Yeah,
billing
we had a
issue,
credit.
which
Oh,
got
okay.
picked up and found, so they gave us that credit of $335.
That's what I mean, $3,000.
But it's actually just a hair under
You
three.
know what, I'll ask them to explain it better and let
Yeah.
me know the hours that they spent on this.
Yeah.
But these reports, the way I understand it, is that Excel thing should just go year to year and keep getting updated, and then in between, you know, information I send them.
But
during the
what I'm
course of
getting
the
at is
year.
if you didn't send them, there was nothing, no updates or any changes, say, for 2 months, but you still get a bill each month, right?
No, we don't get a bill for that, no.
Alright, so this there though is saying funding valuation preparation, what does that mean?
They must prep for it,
That's
I don't know what
updating.
they do, maybe updating all year.
Mortality tables,
I'm not
all
sure.
the actuary
Yeah.
Let's
things that
just
they
see
need to.
what their explanation is and the
Yeah.
amount of time they spend.
I'm questioning, I'm questioning it all the time.
I don't ever
Questioning.
remember seeing funding valuation preparation, even when I sat on that side.
Right, I never heard of it either.
So we get a question.
If you never heard of it,
We're
Yeah, that's why
tabling
we're
it.
asking.
That's
What-
why we're
what
gonna
is
table
this
it.
and what's
The only one
output?
who
We
would-
tabled it, so.
Would know
We're not
out of
paying
us
the bill.
here now would be David, and
Like I said, the only thing I can think of is
Mm.
it's a fancy way of saying we're preparing for our actuarial.
Mhm.
Well, let's
Yeah.
find out from
we'll
them
just get
first.
a clarification on it.
Let's table it.
Let's
Okay.
table it and get clarification.
Like I
I'll
said, I
send an
don't,
email this week.
I don't
Alright.
doubt that the work is there, but we had specifically requested that when they send us bills, we want it broken down.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we wanna see where it's coming, cause that's all we would ever get.
Alright, so, do we have a motion to table that?
Yes.
We already, should we table it?
Second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to table the funding evaluation prep and have Tracy contact them for a breakdown. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item B under NIHART is Actuary Administrative Services, July of 2018, for the refunding contributions for Jaworski, the amount of $175 to do that.
I make a motion that we, pay this bill as presented for $175. Invoice number 0142282.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for the Actuary Administrative Service, July of 2018, for the refund contributions for Jaworski for $175. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 3, Town of West Warwick Finance Department, amount of $996.38 for the clerk's second quarter.
It's not enough money.
Is this, Tracy, is this your money?
Yeah.
That's okay. All right.
Wait a minute now, I got two motions, one for too much and one denied. We need to vote them on them separate.
Thanks, Cap.
I would
Paid
put
out
it,
of DPW.
I'm gonna say we'll put it right here.
Okay.
Motion to
okay,
approve.
punch it in. I make a motion that we, pay in, Town of West Warwick invoice number 1071 as presented for $966.38.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, pay, Finance Department for the clerk's second quarter in the amount of $966.38. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Hope she stays after all that.
I was looking for
All right, item I, applications to approve. Dave Lombardi, municipal DPW,
I can take it.
he retired July 1st. We just got the figures in today, correct?
No, Friday, but,
Friday.
and he signed off on it.
He did sign off, even though we don't have the figures? Oh, you got them last Friday?
Yeah, I got
Oh,
his
okay.
last Friday.
It says pending here, but I knew you did get them, all right.
Yeah, it was too late for me to
Yeah,
make an
okay.
adjustment.
So, he signed off on that, he's all
Yes, he
set?
did.
Right
It's in the
there, yeah.
packet with his
Page
signature.
17, yeah.
$3,890.21.
Yeah, I do remember reading that, now you say that. One day, it'll be so dull and no movement, there'll be nothing to read. I better go reading that, right here.
Good job.
Anybody have any questions on it, on discussion?
Motion to approve I-1 and thanks to Mr. Lombardi for his service.
second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to approve Dave Lombardi's, application. Tracy has the amounts and he has signed off on them. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lombardi, if you're watching. Item J, applications to receive. First one is Roger St. Jean from the fire, normal retirement of 8/13/2018.
Motion to receive J1.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to receive J1. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Second one is David Colton, wastewater, normal retirement, 11/10/2018.
Motion to receive J2.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to receive application number 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Application number 3, Peter Blaze, school, occupational disability.
Motion to receive J3.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to receive application 3 for Peter Blaze. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Question on this one. Usually when we, have, the occupational, we
Mhm.
send them to IMEs. In this case, he's still on workers' comp with the schools.
He's just doing this ahead of time? Because I
So
noticed the
I'm
date,
not sure if we have to do something else, cause you're not gonna advise me,
because there's no date on it. Right.
just gonna hold it
Yeah, we'll just.
till he
Yeah,
settles
we're just
his
receiving
comp,
it.
right? Okay, I just
It's
wanted
got
to
no-
make sure.
It's got
Is there
no
more to the
retirement date on it,
applications? I
right?
only had like the cover.
I only do the cover, just so you know,
I
cause it's a
figured-
waste of paper
Yeah.
to put the app, but
I just wanna make sure
I
that
just wanted
this
to make-
isn't all we're receiving.
no.
I don't think, if I
So they do
can't
have to
remember, I
do
don't think
anything
there's a date
special,
on it,
or we're
right?
good with just receiving it and just let it
You
sit?
can't receive it, you can't actually do anything with it
But that's
until
what
it
I mean,
terminates.
but I want
Right.
them to know that,
Right.
I can't go any further. So it's just received pending.
He didn't put a date on the other pages, did he? No date?
Well, there's no date on
Right.
an occupational till they go to the IMEs and
Right.
if it's approved,
Okay.
so
All right, no
I'll
problem.
just tell them it's received, when he settles,
Yep.
go from there.
Okay. Next is item M, the opt-out for police and fire disabilities.
I put an email in there, we're still waiting on the town solicitor.
That's the one with,
Now, I wrote
the meeting,
opt-out
right?
on it. Right here. So, I haven't really heard from Ernie's email said to contact me to schedule a meeting. So I'll probably end up reaching out to him, so maybe we can have something by next meeting.
okay, so table that till next meeting then?
Motion to table item M.
Second motion to table item M.
Motion made and seconded to table item M till, next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item N, the Bola Quattro. I don't need to excuse myself, though, you're just giving your report, do
I can just give the report,
Yeah.
At the last meeting, we voted to, send a letter to the parties and to their attorneys. That letter has been sent, I have received a response from one of the attorneys. However, I have not been able to speak with her. We have exchanged voicemails, but I haven't been able to actually speak with her about the concerns. I would suggest that it, be tabled until, September, and hopefully I will be able to discuss this with, Attorney Strackman, in the next couple of weeks.
Motion to table item N.
Second,
Motion made and seconded to table item N till next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item O, COLAs for fire disabilities. We did not get a meeting, correct?
Nope, so we're gonna set up a meeting.
Motion to table item O.
second the motion to table item O.
Motion made and seconded to table item O till next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item P, memo to HO, to Human Resources on the meeting. Tracy and I had a meeting with HR regards to what, I don't know the best way to say that.
The workers'
About
comp.
Work-
workers' comp.
Workman's comp and their time and their leave of absence and everything and how that affects them, and for them to come up with some kind of a memo or sheet or something that they could sign and have, and they'd be aware of it to eliminate a lot of the problems. It's this board's opinion that we should pay legal to do that. That's their job to do that. So Tracy had the meeting, we explained everything to her. She understood and she said yes. When they will do that, we don't know, but she said she's gonna do that.
When did you have that meeting? This, in the last month?
Yes,
Okay.
that was our last meeting we had. It was said to Tracy and I.
It was
would meet
probably a
with her.
week right after the last meeting, it's been a while now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, so I'd like to suggest that at the end of the month, we send her an email that's reminding her of the meeting
Okay, see if she,
and asking her if she could provide us a copy of what she agreed to do. Okay.
We, the second part of this here, which we haven't done yet, Tracy's gonna set up, is to have a meeting with the school's HR, for the same thing. And their situation is is even more unique, more, that needs to get addressed and they need to do something. So Tracy's gonna set that meeting up and her and I will go to that one. And if there's anybody else wants to come, you're welcome to come, just let Tracy. What's the matter, Dave?
I'm all set.
Let Tracy know, and
I believe
when she
you.
gets a date, we will go. So that's what happened with that one. We don't need a motion for that. Item Q, information request on divorce forms attorney. That one I don't remember.
That's the one that was just a request from someone that was drafting a quadro, and it is not a quadro question.
Yeah, I remember
They
now.
are asking if we can perform a calculation of the amount of an anticipated benefit. My suggestion is that we offer them the opportunity to use their, one pass at the actuary if they want to get that information from the actuary of the anticipated benefit, kind of the same thing that they got on their statement last year. Of, what if they continue working through the normal retirement, here's what we expect it to be. Or they can certainly, get their own actuary to do the calculation, and, but they should have that information. Otherwise, there's not a lot more information that the board can do because we don't accept quadros any longer.
That was the one with the question on the 45%, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the .3, Dave. Because in the emails, I said to Tracy that I would contact her at the redraft meeting. So I just wanted to see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that was a mistake.
That's the point,
Yeah.
that was the .3. That's something we don't do as a board. And I don't think you can do it because it just, I don't know how you can figure it. Maybe you and I can do it, but we should be paying for that, because, they wanna know 45% as of 11/8/17. For a quattro, and we can't figure that. That's not our job to do that. I can do it, but we shouldn't be paying for that. That's something I think they should settle amongst themselves or get their own actuary, or use it however they wanna do it. So, you have notified them, right, on that?
No, I haven't done anything
Okay.
till you told me what to do, so I can
Alright.
just tell her the board doesn't say that they can either pay for calculation
Yeah.
or get their own.
We don't need to do it as a motion, right?
Um,
Because that was just
I
an
mean,
email.
If you want, you could move to have the clerk respond and let them know that they could have one evaluation from the actuary over the time of their employment, or they can just pay for the opinion from the actuary, or they can get their own actuary, or whatever options they want.
Motion to notify the parties of their options.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to notify the party of their options. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Quattros. Item R is on John Hancock. That's on there, so there's a question about some stocks that were transferred. We wanted to make sure that they had gotten into the pension fund and didn't end up in general fund or somewhere else. You were able to find some emails, but nothing to give an exact answer to that, is that correct?
Correct. We have information based on all the documents that we got from John Hancock that the board received a certain stock distribution, and we had the clerk look into the investment advisor at the time to try and see if we could exactly find the specific account that everything went into, but we haven't yet been able to locate that information just because it was from, I don't remember how long ago, but a while ago. No, it wasn't the 69.
No.
I wanna say it
I
was,
I have a question
I
I
about
wanna say it was 2000.
the death benefits. I'm looking, Kevin O'Connell, chairman of the West Warwick Police and Fire Disability. I've been checking in all the paperwork that Tim Williamson gave me, and there was a death benefit paid for Emmanuel Barreto in 1974. He was still on department, hadn't retired, but they had paid a death benefit. And from what I gather from the paperwork, the death benefit was never directly sent to the beneficiary. It was sent to the town. So I checked with Mrs. Barretto and her family, and she doesn't remember receiving the death benefit in 1974. It shows that John Hancock paid a death benefit. It has the amount they paid, but they can't recollect that they received that payment from his annuity. So I told her I'd check into it. I fell ill for a little while, so I'm back here tonight seeing if Tracy could maybe check into that and see. It was paid, I believe, in 1974, the death benefit. If you look at the John Hancock thing from John Hancock, it'll tell you that a death benefit was paid. And also, it showed that Ira Cook Sr. did not sign that certificate to turn over his money to the pension fund. And I can't see where that was ever returned to him, his money. And also Manny Simus, but that you're going to have a little problem because they're both deceased now. So basically the only two I could find that they're still living, and there's a possibility there was another fireman, I believe, Dave, but I think she just passed away, fireman's wife. So
Mrs. Garrow?
yes.
Yeah.
It looked like there was, he didn't sign it either. He didn't relinquish his John Hancock policy. I don't know if you could check into it or who you would. I don't know if there's any living. Yes, I mean, it goes back. So, and then the other problem you have in that interim, when John Hancock turned it over to West Warwick, to Old Stone, they were going to receive. And the problem you have with that is, I don't know if you heard me talk about Nathaniel Weatherby before. He was in charge of the pension funds for certain communities in the state of Rhode Island. He was an executive with Old Stone. And there's an email stating that now on, Mr. Weatherby will be receiving all the monies from John Hancock and everything to him. Well, Mr. Weatherby was charged by the United States government for embezzling funds. He made a plea deal. The court docket is in that paperwork. I looked it up online. It's a United States court document where he made a plea deal with the government for him embezzling the funds. I couldn't find out if West Warwick was part of that embezzlement. He looked like he wanted to get out of it real quick. They were doing it, the FBI was doing an investigation, and he wanted, so with his lawyers, he made a plea deal, and then I believe he committed suicide. I believe that's what happened in the interim. Mr. Weatherby committed suicide.
That plea deal, does it specify if he had to pay?
Well, that's my question. It says that he embezzled funds from pension plans. And I could never find whether West Warwick was listed under that court document.
Right, but even the funds that he embezzled, does it say, did they charge him, like, you know, a lot of times they'll tell you.
They
well,
blanketed
maybe
everything.
They can't prove everything, how much you embezzled, but they come up with a figure that he said pay back.
Well, yeah, with the plea deal was that he got so much jail time and he had to pay back so much funds. But they never went into detail of what funds that he basically embezzled from. So whether West Warwick was in that, all I know is I saw the emails that Nathaniel Weatherby was in charge of the West Warwick Pension Fund now. And then all of a sudden, 4 years later, he's charged by the United States government for embezzling funds.
What year was that?
Oh, boy, I've been looking through all those documents. I'll get it for you.
Well, I just figured if that's a court case.
In the 90s, I believe.
You should, the evidence that the prosecutor presented must have,
Yeah, again, I'm not privy to that.
no, but I'm saying you should be able to find that out, though, that's public record.
You should.
Yeah.
You should, but I thought maybe that it would be in your best interest to see if he paid any restitution to the pension fund, or did they not know
Or
about?
did he take anything out? Was it listed as something in their
Exactly.
investigation?
Maybe let the West Warwick Pension Fund alone. I don't know. All I know is that he was charged by the government
Well-
for embezzling funds.
Well, when he was charged, Didn't West Warwick know about it when he was charged for embezzling money from pension funds? Didn't West Warwick look into to see if they were one of the pensions that got,
Well, that's only if
Embezzle?
the federal government notified West Warwick that they was part of that investigation.
so if we didn't get notified, that means we weren't part of it?
Well, you don't know that because he made a plea deal. Like
Oh, okay.
he says, well, yeah, you know, they're going through all the
Right.
things, saying, okay, this, and that, and all of a sudden, the lawyers come up and say, hey, he'll plead to this, and that, but, you know, stop the investigation, and he'll take 6 years in prison and pay back 300,000 instead of 300 million. You know how that works, you know?
Where did the money go to?
Right?
Well,
Where did he pay the money
I
to?
thought you said
That-
he
that's what
committed
Kevin's
suicide,
asking.
so he, you know.
He did, yeah.
Well, they
I
have
don't think
to
he's
know
paying,
where.
he's paying that back in prison, so.
No, exactly, you know how it is, I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Malacone, what, he embezzled millions, and was he paying back $300 a month? I mean, he'll be
Yeah,
187 before he pays off the interest.
If you can.
But it's just an interesting thing to find out about your pension, that,
I'd like to just, myself, if you can give me that date and information, court file, whatever you got on.
I'll give you the United States court file.
I mean,
It was in Providence where they charged him.
the,
Do you know if it was First Circuit? It was federal, right?
Yes, federal,
Yeah, so that, I might be able to just print it.
yeah. It's,
like I say, if ours, when they did the investigation, and I don't know how much gets put at the trial, or maybe if they plea bargain, maybe they didn't have a trial, settle it before.
correct. From it looks like there was a plea bargain.
Right, but still, the information would have to be presented in order for the judge to approve that plea bargain.
Exactly, but
Right. So-
if you've been an investigator and you're opening a Pandora's box,
Right.
and the lawyer says, look, you got quite a bit of liability
Right.
here, okay, they're going, you know, I can make a plea deal for you, you know,
What I'm
it's up to
wondering is-
300,000 now, you may have embezzled 3 million, okay, let's make a plea deal, you admit to the 300,000, the other stuff they're looking at, we'll put that aside,
Yeah.
because they'll stop the investigation and you make the plea deal.
But still, isn't that part of the court record, what the investigation showed?
Could be,
Plus
could be,
something-
It depends.
It-
It
Exactly.
Depends on
Can-
what point they, like Kevin said,
Right.
on
Right.
what point they actually,
cut it
Cut
off.
off.
right, exactly.
So, what I was gonna look at, but what you're saying, so what my thing is, if they plea bargain that and the prosecution agreed with that, that means that they felt that they've got the bulk of what he took out.
No, not necessarily.
No,
Because if
it
he embezzled,
just depends.
say 20 million, and he's only agreeing to 2 million, which is the other 18 million, they could have plea bargain and let that go?
Well, I can tell you, I had a family member that was charged by the West Warwick Police. There was a great amount of money. Okay, she plea bargained, and she only had to pay back $700. Okay, it could have been 7,000. From what I know, it was over 7,000. But she plea bargained.
Yeah.
Okay, she paid back the 700 and
That was it.
no jail time.
But you,
That's
I'm
what they do.
getting at
That's what
is-
lawyers do. And
Well, like Kevin was saying, if you can prove he stole 2 million, but you think he stole 20 million, but you're never gonna get 20
20 million.
why?
Even Bob.
Open that
to prove
Pandora's
it?
box.
Right,
So
that's,
forget
and that's,
about
but I have
Right.
no idea.
And I'm not accusing Mr. Weatherby, I'm just saying that at the time,
Right.
he was in charge of the West Warwick Pension Fund, along
So-
with many other pension funds with Old Stone Bank.
Looking
And
into it's not gonna
he was-
accomplish anything. One, because he's committed suicide, and even if he's still alive, you're probably never gonna get the money back, because it might have been it might have not been part of that plea bargain.
Right,
Right.
right, but again, that's just for your knowledge that you
Yeah.
know, but the most thing that I'm concerned about is Mrs. Barretto, she's still alive.
Was it Barretto, was he active or was he retired?
He was active.
He was active when he
Yes.
passed away?
Mhm.
In 75?
In 74.
But if he was active, okay, his pension was coming from,
He wasn't getting a
He
pension,
wasn't getting a
he
pension.
wasn't getting a pension.
correct.
Okay, but if he was still active, he should at least get a death benefit from us.
Correct, and there was a death benefit paid through John Hancock, not you, because
Right.
there was no pension board at the time.
Okay,
In 74, they had a John Hancock policy.
Still, right.
So, but in all the documents that John Hancock released to you people, it says there in 1974, a death benefit was paid to Manuel Barretto. From what I looked at through the John Hancock files, they never sent the death benefits directly to the beneficiary. They would send it to the town of West Warwick. thinking that the town would give that benefit to the,
But if they made that
Beneficiary.
check out, if they had made, John Hancock made a check out like that, it would be to West Warwick, would it be for the benefit of Manuel
correct,
Barretto?
absolutely.
So he would have had to sign off on that check,
His family.
Well, not if it was made out of the town of West Warwick,
for the benefit
and,
of.
and then it would be you, the town's position, to give Mrs. Barretto that check.
So
From
we-
what I've checked, they never received
So
a
we
check.
don't, how are we gonna find that out?
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just check.
Is
with
it possible
the
she
HR
just don't
files,
remember
maybe
that?
there's
Or, I mean,
well, I
know
checked with the
some-
children too, because she's 80-some years old,
She's
but
still, she's sharp though.
she is very
very
sharp,
sharp.
very sharp.
If I didn't have a wife, I'd go after her.
Exactly, because she remembered that the union gave her a check. The union gave her like $300 back then. So she remembered that, and I said, remember, I forgot what the death benefit was. I think it was $2,400. I'll look up the,
Still, yeah, something.
yeah, it was something, And if she never got it, I don't even know if there's anything you can do about it now. Because if it went into the general
Might
fund,
never find it, because 74.
yeah,
I don't know
Well, like
what
you said,
records
we
are around.
didn't have a pension.
We didn't have a pension then, it would.
and I remember when I was on the pension board, Trace, I never saw Manny Barretto's file in there, so.
Yeah.
So
May not
it's
have
just-
had one. So it might have just gone right to HR.
Well, that's where, I
Correct.
actually wrote
Before the board.
HR in my
Right.
notes,
Yeah.
I guess that's all I can
That's
do
all
is
we
check
can do.
there
Yeah.
and maybe in the police archives.
I don't even know if you're gonna find records in the town receiving it, or sending one back out.
Right, but I'm just thinking maybe I can't call John Hancock. Maybe if you call John Hancock and ask them if they remember, not if they remember, but do they have any record of them sending them that check? And was it designated for Mrs. Barretto? Was it made out to the town of West Warwick? From what I can understand, from everything I've read, and they've sent gaggles of paperwork, is that most of the stuff was sent to the town of West Warwick. And they were relying on the town to give it to the correct people.
Probably because they're
Yeah.
ridiculous with
And that's the same thing with Ira Cook.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna check it.
He-
You talked to,
he
you
should-
talked to Ira himself?
I did. Ira said his father never got the money he put into John Hancock.
His would be the money, didn't
Right.
get.
And that's the only thing I can
Yeah,
find.
fine.
Him and Manny Simus were the only policemen that supposedly under what John Hancock sent us, never signed off. The other guys, they said they signed off. There was some stamp they signed, including my father and all, and you guys don't have that. Town says they have that. So I'm just relying on that
Right.
they signed off on it. But John Hancock says that these three guys did not sign off on it.
Kevin, can you just put all that in a bullet point, just in a quick email to Tracy?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
just wanna make sure that, and then we can just forward it to them, and that way we make sure.
And I can
we're covering-
photocopy the
Okay.
documents of John Hancock, and I'll send you those too.
All right, send it to the pension
And-
board email.
Because I think there's a item
Yeah.
number on it.
Okay.
Maybe they still have it listed.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for bringing that.
Thanks, Kevin. We kind of, though, got off track here because what we were talking about in item R was the stock transfer that John Hancock did in.
Right,
that
we
we're-
could
we're
never
gonna-
find.
Right.
I wanna
we're
see if
gonna
I can find
it, So
anything.
you're gonna see if
Well,
maybe,
like,
yeah, if you can locate what an investment bank received that stock transfer. And if that bank is still in existence.
Right, it's the custodian from the bank or the investment advisor, if they have one at the time, those would be the two places.
I'll look around,
You know, maybe.
that's all I can do.
Best
Okay.
you can do is maybe send an email if we can find out, so.
I don't know where, but I'll find somewhere to look.
All right.
Under every rock.
Wait a minute, talking about rocks, I'd rather have Kevin do it, he knows how to turn rocks up and down. He can turn a rock over and find
Looking at
something
every
that's,
rock.
it's stuck to the bottom of the rock, so he knows to look. Okay, all right. Item S, RFQ for legal counsel. We have got a final draft here that has been worked over 2, maybe 3 times. I'm gonna bring it down to, finance, purchasing, purchasing. Yeah, okay, that's not formal. Purchasing, they're just gonna make sure it fits the language of what they're gonna do, get it straightened out, give us what that actually looks like after, and then, we approve that, and it's gonna go out to they'll advertise it, get the prices, and then open them up, and then we'll go from there. So that's in the last stage, basically.
So we basically wanna just, table this till next month till we see the final.
Yeah, I'm
version,
gonna
right?
meet with purchasing with our draft here. They're gonna reword it to whatever needs to be legal to make it, put it in the paper. Give me that there, I'll bring that back next month. You vote on it.
I'd like to make a motion that we table INS till next month.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to, the RFQ for legal counsel table till next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item T, pension board opinion request forms. 2018-1, when can retired HR
I think the HR director of schools retired.
director of schools retire? Yeah, I was gonna say, all right.
We still haven't really looked at
Those,
these
those
yet.
are all gonna be answered next month.
Right, those are ran out of time.
So you could
in
just
the
table
executive
them.
Oh, that's
session
when we,
for-
for next month,
Motion
so
to
all of
table
these then.
item-
Yeah, just table them.
Okay,
T1 to T4.
I making a motion? The table?
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
motion made and seconded to tables, T 1 through 4 till next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recertification process. We've had 2 meetings last month, this month.
No, opposite, that's the redraft.
This is the
Recertification
Oh,
was just
recertification.
on here to
Yeah.
get the final, signed ordinance from the town council. And then, I don't know if we have
I
it.
don't think it's done yet, cause I don't think they've had another meeting
Oh, did they not
in
have a
August.
summer
I think they
meeting?
only had one so far.
So we just left it on there so that once the council passes it and
Right, they only
that
had
Tracy
one
can
meeting.
distribute
Yeah,
the-
they only had one in August.
Okay,
Motion to table item U.
then we
Second
can all put it in
motion.
our binders.
Second motion to table?
Motion made and seconded to table item U, recertification process till next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item V, discussion. Anyone here on the board?
Time to go home.
Mr. Masachi?
Alright.
One thing I do have to ask you, I know she was digging in the basement, and I know she had vacation time coming and that, but was there anything able to find out on those 2 amendments in 93 and 94, I think it was? Do you think that's a possibility at all? I'm just curious.
I have no idea. I'm not going there till September, well.
Yeah, I remember reading in the emails, the letters there.
I might have more.
Okay. Well, but while we're on that, if they can't come up with that, how's that gonna affect when we're doing our, because we,
We can leave the same reference that
Just leave it there.
references the memos, yeah.
And unless
it-
somebody-
It doesn't hurt to have
No.
it in there, and
Right.
if anyone can find us a copy,
and if
great.
somebody really questions or disagree with it, then they can go at that point, what they wanna do.
Yeah, they could show us the memo, and we'd be happy
Yeah,
to amend it.
That would be nice. All right, okay.
It's like,
Under public comment, you have anything, Mr. Masachi?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. I just-
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made,
that's the
motion made
public
and
comment.
seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?